everyone. Welcome back to Litigation Help. My name is Heather Hui-Litwin. Today, we're going to talk about the significance of the date of marriage in the financial disclosure form for family proceedings. But before we continue, please note that this video provides general legal information only and is based on the law in Ontario, Canada. For advice specific to your case, please consult with a family lawyer. So joining me here once again today is family lawyer Shmuel Stern of Disclosure Clinic. Hi, Shmuel.
Hello, yet again. Great to see you.
So you got a lot more to share with us, I imagine. And I was really surprised because date of marriage, I mean, how can you argue about something like that?
Oh, there's lots to argue.
No.
But we want to know why you're arguing over it,
Right.
and how to prepare for that, right?
Yes.
That's why we're here.
Yeah.
Okay. So, let's make this really real by looking at the form.
Okay.
Okay, before we even start into the theory of it, because the form itself is a little confusing. Okay, so this is the form 13-1.
Yeah.
And I'm actually scrolling all the way to near the end. And I'll make the screen a little bit bigger. And here you go on page 8 of this form.
Okay.
Let's see if I can make this page width. There you go. And it asks you to list your property, debts, and other liabilities on the date that you got married. Okay, so I guess the starting point just is, when did you get married?
Right.
And not if you lived together before you got married, we don't care for the purposes of this question. Okay, this is actually the date that you got married. If you had a ceremony and and 2 weeks prior to the ceremony, you actually were civilly married.
Yeah.
Some people have the big affair kind of thing, but they may have gotten actually married at City Hall 2 weeks prior to that. We care about the City Hall part, not the wedding. You're going to be looking at your marriage certificate. Okay. And if you were married in a foreign jurisdiction, that's also married for our purposes, and find the certificate for that. If you don't have your marriage certificate, you can get it online from Service Ontario. Doesn't cost that much. Okay, and so here is a list, and you'll see that the headings line up with the previous headings of the charts in the financial statement. So you got your land, general household items, and vehicles, but you don't see all the different, all the boxes that you saw previously, right?
Yeah.
And it's a little confusing because the list of assets and liabilities are on both sides here, and not everything here is going to have a liability. Like, you'll have a bank account and you'll just have numbers in it, or land, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so what I would like to you to take away is that on the lawyer's form that we use, this is the form that I found online, right? But the lawyer's form actually calculates this box that we're looking at right now automatically, and it's pulling the information from the upper boxes up here. Okay, so let's just go to the top: date of marriage, valuation date, and we have 3 boxes: date of marriage, valuation date, and today. And whatever you put into this box, into this column, right, you'll see here that it's not calculating. There's no total here, because the total's going into the box on page 8. Okay, it's a little bit confusing how they set this form up in particular. The lawyer's form is different because it does calculate every column. And the point, though, is that the information that you're going to be putting on is actually going to be primarily right over here in these boxes.
Right.
Not on page 8. Page 8 is almost like a summary of what you've already put down. Okay, I know that's confusing, but I may as well just start with that, and then we'll go to the theory of what we're doing before we start actually doing it. Okay, so I'm actually going to scroll back up to land. And now we're going to get into some theory as to why we're even talking about date of marriage.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good.
spreadsheet. And we're going to start with, it's good to look at black and white law.
Okay.
And we will see what it looks like. Okay. Look at the Family Law Act.
Right.
And you don't have to look at the Family Law Act, but I look at the Family Law Act. Section 4 deals with the definitions that are that are relevant for what we're doing. And in the definition of net family property, and we're going to look at what that means again, okay? So this is in the context of property division. And for net family property, we're looking at the value of all property as of valuation date, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then we're also going to deduct from that debts and liabilities, okay? And the value of property other than a matrimonial home, which we will discuss, that the spouse owned on the date of marriage after deducting the spouse's debts and other liabilities other than the liabilities and debts and liabilities related directly to the acquisition or significant improvement of the matrimonial home calculated as of the date of marriage. Wow. Okay, well, there you go. This is my job because it's so, it's actually a little bit redundant. But there seems to be two takeaways from what I just read to you. One is the word deduction, okay? And the second one is calculated as of the date of marriage. Those are the two big takeaways. The exceptions regarding matrimonial home, we'll get there, okay? But what are we doing? What are we doing? So let's just quickly talk about what exactly we are doing. Okay, so this is my Jack and Jill equalization calculation. Okay.
I remember. Yes.
Yes, from our other video on exclusions. Yes. Okay.
Right.
All right. So let's start from the beginning. We want to collect information that shows growth through the marriage.
Right.
Okay. And what does that mean, growth through the marriage? Well, for our particular circumstances in the law, we're taking a snapshot for each party of what their net worth was on date of valuation date, which is usually date of separation, less what you were worth on date of marriage.
Right.
Okay. Now in the exclusions video, I broke down, we were looking very carefully about valuation date, and let's just look at that right now. Okay, so here, both Jack and Jill owned $10 on the date that they separated. They were actually the same. It happened and they both had debts of $2. Okay, so both of them have a net worth of $8, but Jill had a little quirk of this excluded property of $6. So that actually changes her valuation date numbers. Okay, that's not what we're talking about today. And excluded property doesn't have any reference when it comes to date of marriage. Okay, because that is a concept linked specifically to something received after the date of marriage. So
okay.
We're not talking about that at all, and people get very confused about this, and I will help you not to unconfuse you, okay? So just take it for granted right now that Jack has a value of 8, his net worth, and Jill's net worth, in a sense, as adapted for the exclusion, is $2.
Right.
Okay. And in the scenario, neither Jack nor Jill have any assets or net worth when they came into the marriage. Okay. And therefore, if Jack is worth 8, 8 minus 0 is still 8.
Right.
And Jill, 2 minus 0 is still 2.
Right.
Okay. And so those numbers are called net family property. We just looked at the definition of net family property, right? And remember what I said, one of the takeaways was deduction. We're deducting. And that's exactly what that minus sign is here. 8 minus date of marriage. Okay. And so therefore, and just to conclude the calculation, if Jack has a net family property of 8 and Jill has a net family property of 2, then the difference between them is 6.
6, right.
Right? That's easy enough.
Yep.
And just to show our fancy little calculator, if the difference between them is 6, how much does Jack need to pour into Jill to make them equal?
Yes, 3.
And the answer is 3.
Right.
Okay. Now, let's say I represent Jack, and Jack says, help me. I don't want to pay 3.
Right.
It's not fair. Jill has this exclusion. We both have net worth of 8. Think about it. We both have a net worth of 8. It's 10 minus 2 each, right?
Yeah.
Oh, and Jill has this exclusion that's playing around with the numbers. I need you to help me reduce my liability.
Yeah.
Okay. So I would go through the 8 to make sure the 8 is correct, right? But then I would say, okay, well, let's look at the date of marriage, because many people kind of either don't understand what they're doing with it or don't really think it through. Okay, and let me tell you 2 reasons why people don't think it through. So let's just expand it. Now, for date of marriage, right? We'll have assets and debts.
Right.
On date of marriage, and before I talk about the complications, let's just quickly talk about the calculation itself, right? So if I can make Jack's assets on the date of marriage go up, then his liability goes, where's my thumb? Goes down. Okay. So let's just make up a number, okay? Let's say he was worth $4 with 1 debt.
Right.
Okay. So that's 3.
Right.
So of a sudden, and I'll just shrink this, of a sudden, instead of being 8 as his net family property, his net family property is 5.
Yeah.
8 minus 3 is 5.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And this is not working. Okay, that's good. But 5 minus 2 is 3.
Yeah.
This part's working. Okay, and half there you go. It's just this one. And half of 3 is 150. Now before he was going to be paying $3, and now he's paying $1.50. So there you go. I just did my job.
Yeah.
If I can do that. So I'll just take that away for today.
Yeah.
Okay. So what are we doing? We are trying to find the net worth on the date of marriage.
Right.
Okay. Right. And if we can do that, the higher this number, the less this number is.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the reason why the higher the number, the less the net family property is because it's a deduction. We're deducting it from the valuation date. Okay. So that's the math. And now we're going to go through how to do it. And what I thought would be very helpful is to go very briefly through the financial statement and just point out where people miss it. And now let's just quickly talk about why people miss it. Okay.